Hey guys, welcome to yet another week of Unscrambled Faith. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me this week. I have a little something special in store for you. If you hung out with us last week, you would know that I have a special guest. My girl Amber is here. Amber and I actually recently met last year at a Cincy training. And one thing that was really cool, I'll say about her and I, is that even though we didn't get a whole lot of time to be able to catch up and get to know one another, I would say that it was almost like her and I, in my opinion, had like a kindred spirit. Her and I crossed paths multiple times. We didn't have a lot of conversation, but I feel like we didn't really need a lot of conversation because it almost felt like I had known her from another time. But I'm super excited to have her here. If you guys are familiar with lately the special guests that I've been having, the way it goes that we're going to do a little banter. We're going to have a lot of fun answering some very unique and fun questions. And as always, if you'd like to participate in the questions, feel free to comment below on this podcast video and give us some answers of the questions for yourself. Also, one way that you can support this podcast is that if you not only like the video, but subscribe as well. But let's go ahead and get started. Amber, I'm so excited for you to have the opportunity to hang out with me on this podcast this week. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. This is my first time doing a podcast type thing, so I'm super excited.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. I really like the stylization of this type of podcast and the way we do this video because for one, it gives me a break from doing the everyday, like mundane every week what I do for my podcast. But I love the fact that if you guys didn't already know this, I'm going to go and do a little plug-in for ChatGPT. I want y'all to know that the questions we're about to ask each other are in no way whatsoever questions that I personally came up with. But they're so unique and very special because I did use ChatGPT, which I thought was really cool. Also, just a little preface that I've used ChatGPT for well over 2 years now. So when I asked the questions, it definitely did make sense as far as how much information I gave it, as far as the questions are concerned, because I feel like it nailed it to a T. And definitely very unique questions to say the least. But before we start getting into that, as always, I'm going to show off my earrings, you guys. This pair, can't tell you where I got them from. Found them for a while now, but very like crafty, artsy. I figured very perfect and ideal for the month of February. Honestly, if I could get my hands on some Mardi Gras earrings, I probably would honestly have one heart and then more one fleur-de-lis on the other side. I think that would be so much better because I don't like to match all the time. But
That would
let's
be
go ahead
super
and get.
cute.
Thank you. Yeah, I really love these. And like I know Amber was mentioning earlier, like the colors. And y'all, I don't know how it's gonna come up on the video or not when we do the recording, but it's interesting. They're almost like a geometric, like purple with like gold flecks in them. And I did have a hard time picking out which pair I was gonna wear. So, like here we go. And as just so y'all know, I am rocking my Christmas tee. I'm not even sure when I'm gonna stop wearing this because it is colorful, and
It is so
it's a lot
cute
of
and
fun.
bright, and I love
Yeah.
it.
I know it's like it's not your typical Christmas colors, so I was like, you know what? I feel like I could still get away with it with February. I'm like, it's very like Valentine's. It's still cooler outside. I think after March, after this month, I'll probably go ahead and sadly like put it away, for this coming Christmas. But for the meantime, I'm definitely gonna get my money's worth.
Absolutely, as you should.
Thank you. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get started. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and have Amber take the first question that we're going to be asking each other because she is our honored guest for the week. So take it away, girl. And what I'll do is I'll actually answer. I'll ask you the question, and then you can answer it.
Okay.
All right. So if your life had a fragrance, what would your smell like right now?
So I really liked that question, and when I first read it, I was like, I don't know, like dogs and boys, because I have two sons, and then my husband, and then my father lives with us. And then I
Mhm.
have a 19-year-old daughter who has moved out. So they have left me by myself with all these boys in the house. So I really
Oh
had to think
man.
about that one. And I actually came up with a home full of boys, a chaotic work life in an elementary special education classroom. It's full of kids and fun and family, and I have four giant dogs. I settled on Amazon Rain because it's fresh, it's a little outdoorsy. We know kids love recess. It's got a little hint of fruits and orchids and water lilies to give it that calming to like counteract all of the chaos. but then it
Yeah.
also has that little bit of fresh because, boys.
I love that. Good answer. All right, so because we're doing it back and forth, I'll go and answer mine. So I actually went into a little bit different direction. So I kind of created my own wax bar. And then I was like, if I did my own wax bar, obviously with Scentsy, where we do have very intricate bars, multiple ingredients. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to have just one ingredient. So I decided that my bar would be mixed with berry melon for my playful
Ooh.
side, with a little bit of because if you are familiar with Scentsy, we'll say that's the top note. So top note is berry melon. The mid note is toasted coconut because I am very
Ooh.
adventurous. I know. Honestly, I swear, when I started writing this down, I was like, I would actually warm that bar. And then the low note to balance out, of course, the berry and the coconut would be vanilla because I'm a very peaceful person now. So yeah, berry melon, toasted coconut, and with a hint of vanilla.
See, that sounds like a good. I can't decide if that's a July barbecue
Yeah,
dessert
right.
fragrance or if it's a good fall pie or something. I don't
And I
know, but it
love
sounds
that
great.
though. Same. I love that because I feel like that it's exactly that. I feel like it's a bar that I can not only warm, like pretty much I could warm all year round. That it's not only going to be like you said, like a summer holiday favorite, but also I feel like with the toasted coconut and vanilla, it's very cozy and comfortable and chill, which does remind me very much so of like the winter season.
Yeah, very versatile. I like it.
Which is me.
Very
I was
awesome.
like, oh, that's perfect. I love that. All right, so go ahead and take it away with number 2, and I will
Okay.
answer it first.
So I'm gonna be honest, I abbreviated my notes.
Oh, you're
So
fine.
I
You're
don't
good.
have the full question.
That's okay. Well, that's why I'm here. So I'll go ahead, and what we'll do is I'll read out the questions, and then we'll just go with the flow, and then whoever wants to answer. So
Okay.
just so you know, the second question that we will be doing is tattoos often tell a story. If you had to get a tattoo that symbolized your faith journey, what would it be and why?
So I like this question too. Actually, I really liked all of these questions because I felt like that the whole theme of this, everything was just right up my alley. Um, so I have a few tattoos. I think that mine for this question would be the lotus flower because it continues to grow beautifully even in muddy water. It symbolizes peace, strength, and ability to flourish through adversity and
Mm,
embodies resilience and determination, which I think describes my life pretty well.
I love that. Yeah, I think I would definitely, that's how I would describe you for sure, and like your personality. So I think that's definitely the ideal tattoo. You'll have to add that into like the running for maybe the next one you get.
Absolutely, it's in there.
All right, my turn. Let's see. So I definitely said my answer would be mountains, and I said because through peaks and valleys, ups and downs. Oh, I've had in my life peaks and valleys, also a lot of ups and downs. But despite where I'm at, I'm grateful for where I've been and looking ahead.
I love that.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Oh, and to answer what you were saying earlier, as far as the questions are concerned, even though ChatGPT randomized the questions, I actually, because I had a generalized idea of like what you and I both are like, our personality, the things that we collect are like, that kind of thing. And so the list that I gave it, because obviously, if y'all don't know ChatGPT, the more specific you are, the better. Because
Oh
I
yeah.
did specify certain things to incorporate into the questions. And so and yeah, like the questions couldn't be more beautifully wrote out, basically, as far as how you and I are concerned. So it very much intertwines like our personalities and who we are, like into these questions.
Definitely. I was reading them and I was like she knows me.
Yeah, these questions, even though I didn't write them out verbatim, very purposeful as
Yeah,
far as
yeah,
how they
they're
are.
awesome. I love them.
Yeah, because I was like, even if like I said before, even if you and I didn't really get have the time to be able to like sit down and get to know one another, I love doing like a video like this with somebody as a spotlight as a new friend of mine, because I really feel like I am able to like get to know them on a more personal level, and then we can have fun outside of like our everyday norm, what we
Yeah.
usually talk about. So,
Yeah, definitely.
all right. So, next question. In the 90s, we all had that one scent. So it could be like cucumber melon. Cucumber melon, anyone? I definitely, when I read that question, I was like, that immediately took me back because I could smell it instantaneously. That was iconic. Is there a scent of your
Mhm.
past that brings back a memory? So I'll take this one. I'll
Okay.
answer first. So I would say for sure, hands down, immediately when I read this question, other than the fact that it suggested the cucumber scent, and I'm like, yep, Bath and Body Works. But because it did give that suggestion, it reminded me of something that I am all too familiar with, and it was the Blazing Blueberry Roll-On Body Glitter.
Ooh.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Specifically the roll-on there was multiple fragrances, but Bath and Body Works had them. And what's funny is like to this day I don't necessarily have roll-on body glitter, but I actually have a spray glitter that I put on my body, and then I have one that I put on my face that's like a self tanner. So I, even though I've left the Bath and Body Works world, I still to this day use glitter, so I love that
Oh,
about
yes.
myself.
Same. Me too.
All right, girl. So, what would you say? What fragrance is iconic to you that brings back a memory from the past?
So I did still go with a Scentsy fragrance on this one because, much like you said, Bath and Body Works. I feel like in our age, like that was that is where my addiction for fragrance came from. Like my mom
Yes.
always liked candles, loved candles, but then
Yep.
when I got old enough to realize, like, hey, I can like personally smell like this too.
Yep.
Sorry, my dogs, they hear my
No,
husband outside.
no, you're good. It's fine.
So I went with Mad for Melon from Scentsy because
Oh
the first
yeah.
time I warmed that, I was like, I'm in sixth grade again. Like, let me
Yep.
grab my
Yep.
backpack. I need to be at my locker.
Body
The
spray
whole
and
thing,
yes.
drowning myself in it. You could
Pretty
smell
that
me a mile
cloud.
away. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would definitely say Mad for Melon because it does give me that cucumber melon. Like my mom's driving me to school in the morning and
Yep.
she's like, here's some lotion, here's some body spray. Like, do you need a couple of dollars for something extra at lunch?
Ready for
It
lunch.
just,
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, it gave me that middle school vibes feel.
I love that so much. Well, and I love too how you were saying, like in our own line of work with Scentsy, like how there are fragrances that come out that do take us back to that no like
Yes.
nostalgia feel, no matter like what it is. Because I mean, the fragrance that came out this season for the fall winter, the what was it, the peach and cranberry,
Ooh,
white
white
peach
peach
and
and cranberry.
cranberry. So
Yes.
that one reminds me of the peach ring candy,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I was
and that's
like, this smells so good, but I can't play. You're right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because I did have from bring back my bar a while back. I did have another peach bar that I had in my Scentsy Club subscription, and I was like, oh, you got the boot, out with the old, in with the new. So white peach and cranberry is where it's at because every time I smell that, it definitely, and that's one of my favorite candies too. So it's like it's a win-win for me whenever I smell that. But that's what it reminds me of.
And I don't feel like I don't feel like it's too Christmassy or even
No,
too fall.
no, it's
Like
like
it
right
could
in the
be
middle.
used. Yeah,
Yep,
just
I
whenever.
agree.
And I've got a few bars actually sitting over here that a lady said that she wanted. And then anyway, so I'm like, I think I'm gonna warm those.
Yes, you'll have to smell the bar again and be like, okay, does the smell the whole bar and be like, does it remind me of peach ring candy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. In fact, whenever I was thinking about even the like roll on body glitter, I was just like, dang, I was like, now I wish I had some of that. Like
Do
right
you
now.
remember the Bath and Body Works arts, body
Yes,
arts?
yeah. That's
Yeah.
actually the body glitter was a part of that like whole
Yeah.
that whole group of products that they had come out with.
That
Yeah.
is, I'm telling you, that is fragrance addiction. It started
Yeah.
at such a young age.
Well, you know what's interesting too is like aside from body spray, I wish that back then that I would have had Scentsy because
Yeah,
I feel like that I think about like how fun it would have been otherwise, like in my like teenage young kid bedroom to be able to
yeah,
have like that cute little product, whether it was a warmer or whether it was a Scentsy buddy, but with a scent pack, but some kind of fragrance because I'm like, dang, I was like that because I kept thinking because one of these other questions coming up like does talk about like the nostalgia of like our room and like what scent comes back, and I had to really think really hard on that because I was like there wasn't really a specific fragrance that I had like in my room. Like
right.
the only thing that I had was like what you said, which was like the body products that we grew up with.
Or whatever mom cooked
Yeah,
that
yeah,
night or the day before that still lit. Like that was
yeah,
just home fragrance.
yeah.
And
Same.
even
Yeah,
candles back then weren't
yeah.
like they are now.
No, no, not at all. Mm-mm.
Like we're
Yeah,
so
because
old back then.
I was yeah, because I was actually thinking about my mom. I don't even think started warming or burning like candles up until I was maybe in high school. So before that, like even though I did obviously know what candles were, we for whatever reason or another didn't have them in the house. Now, granted, my mom does have spicy brain like I do, so that could have very well been and played a part into maybe
Yeah.
why we didn't have candles in the house. Oh
We had
gosh.
we had a lot of display candles. Like
Yeah.
you weren't allowed to light them. They
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
for looks. And
Uh-huh.
I was like, she was like, you can still smell it. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
That's actually funny enough. That's what we have in our bedroom. Like I actually have two black wick candles that are hanging up or that are displayed by our TV. And yeah, they're for decor purposes only.
Yes, I totally get it now. As a kid, I was like, we have a
Yeah, as
candle,
a
but we
kid, it's
can't
like,
burn it.
why would you not? Yeah, like why would you
Yeah.
want this, but you can't burn it? Like, where's the fun in that?
Yes, exactly.
But now I get it.
Definitely.
All right, girl. So if your pet or pets in our case could describe you in one sentence, what do you think that they would say?
This one was funny to me. So I think, and I actually wrote down humans.
I love that.
I said that she thinks we're actually her human children because I do treat my dogs and my cats when they let me, but they're really more of my husband's cats. I got them for me, but they
Yeah.
love him.
Oh my gosh.
But the dogs, like, if I could spend my entire day in my bed alone with just me and my dogs, cuddling, napping, having coffee, watching murder mysteries, like nothing on this
Yeah.
planet would make me happier.
So yeah, I get
And
that.
if I can take them anywhere I go, like I have separation anxiety from my
Mm.
pets when I know that I'm going to have to go somewhere and they're not all four, they're all over,
Yeah.
well, the puppy's not, but the others are over 100 pounds now because they're 2 and 4 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you want me to leave my children?
Children. Yep. Same. Yep. Uh-huh.
So I think that would be theirs is she actually thinks we're human children.
I love that. And I always love a good word play too. Let's see. So I said that that I think as a group, so we have now three cats and a dog. So as a group, I would definitely say that they would say if they could describe me, that I should start paying them as I talk to them more than my own therapist.
Yes, that's great.
That
That's a good
and
one.
that they're yes, and that they're just confused as to why I eat cheap fast food and yet I provide them gourmet.
Yes, yes. How come you had a sandwich, but you made me gizzards and
Yeah,
heart?
yeah,
I
like
don't
I
know because I
legit
was
like
tired after I made yours.
I'll have Taco Bell and then they get like chicken heart, pumpkin.
Yeah, all the good stuff.
It's like a force and like we legit have like four-step process almost of like breakfast and dinner. So they're like they all the cats and the dog get different things for breakfast and then something different for dinner.
That's awesome.
But it's also due to a lot of research. So it's due to
Yeah.
like, okay, what do each of them like, not like? What are, like our dog had heartworms a couple years ago. So it's like, okay, what are very specific ingredients, that we need to add into his diet for his heartworm? And then like we have a cat with one of our three cats has like a high intake with food. So he's like constantly like burning calories, and he's like, he loves to eat, but eats really fast, so then it's like, what can we incorporate, to help like slow him down and help with his digestion? And I love research too. So it's like, if something's going on with them, I'm like, all right, we got to switch their food intake up. How's
Yeah.
it going to go? God
Yeah,
forbid if
definitely.
people watch our pets while we're gone. That's when we usually have to scale back, and then like not force them into like, adding in the special ingredients.
I understand. If it wasn't for my dad being here, because he watches the kids when we all go to work and school, which is the dogs. Um, and like he does all of the things. Like I don't have to worry, well, is he Molly, the puppy, she's a Neapolitan Mastiff puppy, and she's already super wrinkly and saggy. So she gets her water, and then after she gets her water, she has a separate bowl that has a rag on top. So she goes,
Yep.
drinks her water, then she goes and she wipes her mouth on her rag. So I've been telling my husband, I'm like, give her rag bowl. Like she has to
Yep.
know, because I
Has
don't
to
want to
have
do
it.
that every time. She's going to be huge and
No.
disgusting. So I
Yep.
don't have to worry about that with my dad. Like I know he's going to do that because
That's
that's
good.
what I do. So I
I
am
love that.
very thankful there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. All right, so let's see what we got next. So let's say your spiritual growth came in wax bars. What 3 cents would describe the different seasons of your faith journey? And
Do you
then
want me
I'll
to
take this
answer
one.
first?
I'll
This
go
one?
first.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take the lead on this one.
All
All right,
right.
so I would say number one being frankincense and myrrh for growth and prayer. So specifically for growth that I've had over the last couple of years, both professionally and spiritually, but also prayer, because that's something that I really want to do more so this year, like big bold prayers. And I want to get back into the habit of praying daily. So that's something I want to get better about. Number two, lavender. Again, going back to just peaceful, my peaceful spirit, peaceful mind, mindfully peaceful, finding comfort in God's presence. And then number three, I would say campfire. Now, this is something that I changed my mind on, and I said campfire only because of the online message that I heard today, because I watched the church service online. So campfire, I changed my mind because I was going to go with something else. I was like, nope, campfire sounds better. So I said campfire because this year I'm leaning more into burning off negativity and living boldly.
I love that. That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah,
I
so
did not
frankincense.
go like that with my answers.
But we're not
Nope.
the same, though. That's the point of this. It's like getting to
It's
know
true.
each other. Because I would be like, oh, that's kind of boring, honestly. If you had this, if you had the same answers as me, what's the fun in that?
True. And I will say that my brain went in reading journey, as in my life
Yeah.
and my struggles through child to adult, through
Mm,
and then Cincy.
yeah.
Not because I don't believe or I don't pray or anything like that. I will say I'm not a super religious person.
Yeah.
So I think that that's why my brain maybe didn't go right that direction. Are you going outside? Is the back gate closed? If so, take them with you, please. Sorry.
No,
Um,
it's okay.
so yeah, so that's where my brain went.
You're good.
But mine were still Scentsy fragrances. I said Go-Go Mango because it's bright, exciting, energizing, which really captures how I felt like at the beginning of my journey.
Mm,
I did this completely on a whim. It was in 2019. We had a $15 join special.
yeah.
I was cleaning Airbnbs and it was disgusting.
Mm,
And it was just, I was breaking my back and I just wasn't really making anything.
no, yeah.
So I messaged the one and only person I knew that sold Scentsy and was like, hey, how many bars can I get for $25?
I love that.
And that's when she was like, well, you can, do this, or you can just join and buy it for yourself. And I was like, girl, I'm not a
No.
salesperson. Like,
Yeah.
people don't like me. I don't like people, and it's fine that way. Like, I don't think so. But she was like, okay, it's just $15 and you get this. And I was like, okay, fine. So, and then for number two, or well, let me finish that. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I ran like ignorance on fire. I was excited and it was go. And I was doing all of the things because it was new and it was exciting. Um, for number two, I picked Thunderstorm because, like
Mm,
we had spoke about earlier, burnout comes super fast for me.
yeah.
I picked Thunderstorm because it is still a bit of excitement, but it's also a gloomy day. Like
Mm,
a thunderstorm, symbolizing determination.
I love that.
So
That's
even
good.
though, yes, things may have been dark and gloomy for me, which I actually prefer, I'm not a sunny day kind of gal. Um, but it was dark and gloomy in a different way. And burnout happens very fast. And I always have to come back after that thunderstorm.
That's good.
Um, number three, I picked Alpine Meadow because it brings a sense of tranquility, growth, and resilience in a natural environment. And here lately, I have had to learn to stop exhausting myself trying to fit into the box that everybody else visualizes life, and realize that it is okay for me to view things differently, for me to handle things differently, uh, for me to still grow and be resilient in normal everyday life, even if it's not the same growth and resilience that somebody else has.
I love that. That's awesome. Those are really great. Those are really three great fragrances that you chose.
They are good. I really like those, and the even putting the meaning with them, it feels like, I don't know. It feels good. It feels good to
Yeah,
see
I
that I
well,
recognize those things about myself.
yes, I love that. Yeah, because like even when I was going to like answer the question, it was like fragrance obviously comes natural to us. But it was like when I took it like a step further, like you said you did, and you were like, not only just the fragrance, but why am I choosing this fragrance? And
Hmm.
and then yeah, like it definitely gave a little bit more like introspective, into like the growth and the journey that like we've been on. Because like for example, like you said, it's like, you started at like an all-time high, you gave it your all, but then you were like, can't stop, won't stop. And then, like, when you were like, go, 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 then you're like, oh, burnout mode, which would be thunderstorm. Because pretty much I feel like when we do get burned out, then that's basically what happens is a thunderstorm takes place, chaos, basically. And then,
Yeah,
like, and then I love the fact of like, then you came into like this tranquil state later on after the thunderstorm, comes like the still and calmness, right? After the thunderstorm takes place. Because then it's like this eerie calmness to me where it's like, you can still smell like the rain in the air and it's like a little foggy and dense, but it's like
and
peaceful
you
and
don't know what's
calm.
going to happen. Is the storm about to continue,
Come
or is
back.
the sun
Yeah.
about to shine?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's definitely too like a direct alignment to life. Is it going to continue on like a thunderstorm? Is this a pause or a break? And you're like, oh, just kidding, it's back. Or is this going to be like, okay, I could take a little deep breath and then
yeah.
we're going to peacefully frolic through the,
We are
the
frolicking through the
meadow,
meadow.
right? And we're going to come full circle. But in the meantime, we're going to relax and enjoy ourselves in the
That's
Alpine
right. We
Meadow.
may start back at Go Go Mango. We may go through
Yeah,
thunderstorm
because
again.
that's usually
Actually,
what that
it's
is.
probably going to happen.
That is what usually happens, especially what we were talking about earlier with spicy brain. It's like that is what
Yes.
happens because it's like the thunderstorm and it's like chaos, and then it's like burnout, and then burnout goes into like the okay, whew, that was a lot, and then inserts comes Alpine Meadow, and then like you said, after we slow down, take a little break, we're burnt out, all the things, and then it's like oh, all right, I got a little spurts of energy, and then that is definitely to a T like Go Go Mango.
Yeah.
We get
Yep.
that surge.
Definitely.
So this next question I thought was honestly possibly by far one of my favorite, just because of how creatively unique it was. Because it definitely did tie in a little bit with, of course, the overall theme of this podcast, Unscrambled Faith. But it definitely also comes and joins in with our love for all things 90 related and nostalgia. So WWJD, if you grew up in the 90s, you definitely know all about the WWJD. But let's make it 90s style. So 90s style, if Jesus walked into a Blockbuster on a Friday night, what movie would he rent and what snack would he grab? Amber, take it away.
So I said he would grab The Sandlot,
Oh
probably because that's one of my favorites
I love
from
it.
that age. And I just remember it was a movie as a kid that I watched all the time. And
Yeah.
even as a kid, I think I tried to piece together each of these children's like their paths.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
because they were so different from each other, but then they still came
Mm-hmm.
together to have fun and to be
That's
one
cool.
playing a game that they enjoyed. And that's probably where I got a lot of my love for baseball as well as a kid.
I love that.
Um,
Very cool.
so I said Sandlot, and then for the friendship community and overcoming obstacles. And then for snack, I'm going with your traditional buttery popcorn.
I love that. Very
Maybe some
cool.
M&Ms thrown in
Oh
it.
my gosh, yes. That's one of my favorite things to do at the movies is drop my chocolate candy and the popcorn for real.
Or dip the popcorn in nacho cheese and put a little jalapeno on
Mm,
top.
yes, that sounds incredible. That sounds
Good,
really
good stuff.
good. All right, so I said that my movie of choice that Jesus would be running a Blockbuster is Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
And I think that explains itself. And if you guys are like, why, then y'all probably need to go watch Shawshank Redemption because it'll make more sense. Um,
Get some
and
tissues.
my candy of choice that he would pick is Fun Dip because I like to think that Jesus is fun.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. I love that.
I know, I legit because spicy brain, right? I was like, gosh, what candy would he choose? So I legit, I'm not even gonna lie, like I went to Google and typed in like 90s candy. So because I couldn't pick just one. And so like I
Yeah.
had to like look at the photos. Because at first I told my husband at first I was gonna answer and say the red fish candy, but I was
Uh-huh.
like, no, that's a little on the nose. Like that's a little too obvious. I'm like, no, that's no. I was like, that's not as creative. Funny, but not as creative. And but I was like, yeah, hands down, I'd have to go with Fun Dip.
You could have said raw chips.
I actually almost said I couldn't remember what they were called, but remember those little fruit cups that you could like open? They were like little plastic little fruits,
With the
and then you
gel.
open them up and drank the juice.
Yes, yes, yes. I remember
I was
those. Those
like,
were awful.
like communion. As soon as I saw those, I was like, dang, they were getting kids ready for communion back before they even really knew what communion was.
Oh, that's funny.
I was like, and then of course my spicy brain took me down like not a big rabbit hole, but a little rabbit hole. And I was like, what if there was like an actual like video rental store where it was themed like movies and then candy specifically to the beat of like that, like
Yeah,
where there was some kind of like spin, you know? Because
that's
I'm a
funny.
sucker for a good pun.
Yeah.
All right, so next, if your faith journey had a soundtrack, this was fun. If your faith journey had a soundtrack featuring only 90s bangers, what's the first three songs that play when you walk into a room? You
Okay.
can take this one.
You go on first? Or me?
No, I'll let you go first. I'm a little bit more intrigued by what you're gonna say, so I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. So my songs were one, Wannabe by Spice Girls. It's the feel good anthem, lots of energy, excitement, and friends.
Yep.
Two was Semi Charmed Life by Third Eye Blind
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
because it describes struggling, burnout, but resilience in trying to keep going through challenges.
That's good.
And number three was No Scrubs by TLC
I love that
because
one.
it has a powerful message about refusing to accept situations or people who drain your energy, self worth, and setting boundaries.
Yes. In fact, I
Which
still listen to that one to
I
this
have
day.
struggled with all of those things until recently.
I love that so much. Really good playlist. I'm glad you went. I'm glad you went first. And funny enough, I'm like, okay, are we best friends or what? Because number one song for me, Spice Up Your Life by the
Oh my
Spice Girls.
gosh, that's awesome.
And I
I can
said,
hear it
because
in my head.
I know, that's why I was like, I want you to go first. Like, I want to see what yours is. But yeah, so I said number one, Spice Up Your Life, Spice Girls, because I am bold, and the song just reminds me to like have fun, be bold, be yourself, and definitely I have officially entered that season of my life, and definitely where I'm bold and I like to have fun. Number two, I'd say Fly by Sugar Ray. Because
Ooh,
I
love that
love,
one.
yes, I was like, oh, I haven't heard that one in a while. I'm like, I need to add that to my Spotify. But
Me and my now 11-year-old listen to it about twice a week on the way to school.
I love that. So that's really cool. Really cool. And I said fly because for my love of travel and enjoying the small moments.
Yes, I love that.
And number three, although to be fair, this should have been number two, but number three, Tough Thumping by Chumbawamba. Because I enjoy chasing goals, and overall it's just an upbeat song. So I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
never gonna not get tired of that song.
true.
Yep. So that's
That's
definitely my
awesome.
three. Yep. And
Hey,
I
we
feel
got a
like I'm
great
gonna have to.
playlist.
That's what I was just thinking. I'm like, I'm not even gonna lie. I feel like I'm gonna have to revisit ChatGPT and then ask it to like offer like not only just those three songs and then your songs, but I'm like, give me like a little bit more of a playlist, so that way I can create.
So if you go, I don't know if you have like Pandora, like I don't know what your
Mhm.
streaming for your music choice is. We have like a bajillion different, but in the mornings when I get in the car, it's just easier to click Pandora. It's set to 90s and it can be
That's
90s
cool.
hits or 90s alternative or whatever.
Yeah.
And me and the fifth grader, we have a party. Sometimes it goes on a mix. We get a little Glorilla in there. He hates her.
You're like,
But
no,
I'm like,
no.
I am pumped, dude.
Yes. You're like, shh, this is my moment.
We'll go back to something else in a minute. Just hold on.
Yes. Just wait for the next one. This is mom's turn, okay?
Exactly.
All about balance here.
Right.
That's how I am. Like, I love, I actually have I have multiple albums that I've created, and it just depends upon like what I'm doing or my mood. So it's
Oh,
like,
for sure.
I have an album for cleaning. I have an album for like if I'm in the office doing Scentsy work. One of my friends, she gives me a hard time, although I think she wants the playlist, but I have a playlist specifically when we have launches. So like when we get up for like LTOs and we're having to wait, the playlist basically starts off like songs that are like real slow tempoed. And then because of the adrenaline rush we get waiting for like the stuff to launch, the faster the music goes. So it's like the
Oh,
playlist
wow.
changes. And then like, but you name it, I've got a playlist for it. Like I said earlier, I'm really, I love puns. So I actually have a playlist for when I take a shower, and all the songs are water related.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Just because I
That's
love
so
doing
funny.
stuff like that. Excuse me. All right,
Yeah.
let's keep on.
Oh, sorry.
Keep
Go
on.
ahead.
No, you're good. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, it's different with who I'm around because like if I can be my weird true self and like I can listen to my gangster rap and you're
Yep.
not gonna be like, girl,
Yep.
then I
Uh-huh.
will be. But like
Yep.
taking the kiddo to school, we're very open in music. Like, you want to listen to some Limp Bizkit today? Are we doing
Yep.
Sublime? Are we doing Kevin
Yep.
Gates? Like, what are we
I love
listening
it.
to
Yeah.
today?
Uh-huh. Yep.
So,
That's how I am. Like my playlist is like my music that I love listening to depends upon my mood, depends upon who I'm with, but it's very well versed. It's all over the place.
oh yeah.
Like, and I love that. And I definitely do. I definitely give credit back to like not only my upbringing, like people like my family, because like even like my own parents, like their music taste was so different from one another. So I know that
Hmm.
that's where it started, where I'm very well versed, but then also like the area that I grew up in. like with such a variety of people. And so
Hmm.
it's really cool to think about, like, it just depends on my mood. I mean, I can listen to anything from, like, for me, it would be like anything like 60s, 70s, all the way
Oh
up
yeah.
until the 90s. 2000s is like pushing it for me, but I would say definitely like at least like, no, I would say no later than maybe like 2004. That would be pushing it. But I would definitely say like 2000s for sure. But specifically lately for me, it's a lot of, I would say, like 90s.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I would say definitely a lot of like 70s to 90s for sure.
I do like a lot of like classic rock, Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
even like Greta Van Fleet, newer rock band, whatever you want to call it, but it has like that old Zeppelin sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's good. But I mean, we listen to reggae, we listen to punk, like
Yeah.
there's even some red dirt country in there
I
somewhere.
love that. That's good. Yeah, I actually recently there's been a couple artists that I've come across that I really like. There and I wish I could remember their names, but there was like one time I feel like Reels and like TikTok Reels, Instagram Reels have really influenced a lot of the music I've started listening to. Like there's
Yeah.
this one, I can't remember his first name, but his last name, funny enough, is actually my maiden name. So his last name is Hammonds. And this guy is so cool because he plays, I believe, the violin, and he actually does remakes from very popular songs other than his own music. And the remakes that he does, he incorporate like No Scrubs is one of them, and he actually plays the violin to
Oh
the No
wow.
Scrubs, yeah, which is really awesome.
That
And
is
but it,
awesome.
yeah, it's all acoustic type instrumental music, but it's the songs that we've grown up around. But yeah, anytime I've tried to get a little bit more out of the box, like there was even a gosh, I can't remember the group, but there was a TikTok that I had like listened to a couple months back or so, and like in the video, this guy, excuse me, was talking about how he was listening out. He was like out on his porch, and he was listening to his neighbor for the one that was like, I guess, playing a record, and the record was, I believe, I want to say the group was from maybe Zimbabwe, but it was like a gospel type like group, mixed like men and women, and it was incredible. Like just their sound was like haunting. It was like just it was haunting, but at the same time like uplifting. And it's interesting to me, like whenever I come across something like that, because then I'm like, okay, I'm maybe not gonna listen to them like all day, but there's like specific songs, that like inspire me, and then I'm interested to like go find it like on Spotify or whatever, and then see if I can find the music to listen to another time.
Oh, definitely. We listen to music in like Rammstein. I don't have a clue about what anything in German means,
Right?
but
But
I'm
I love
singing
listening to
it.
it. Oh my gosh, I love that. All right, so let's see. Number 8. If your childhood bedroom had a scent, what would it be? Yeah, so like thinking like Lisa Frank sticker. So for those that are listening, and you want to answer these questions. So for example, it could be like Lisa Frank stickers, scratch and sniff markers. I love those. The smell of burnt popcorn from a Blockbuster movie night. I love that example. I was like, yep, I can definitely smell that right now. All right, so you want to go ahead and take this one? Or actually, no, what? You answered the last one, so I answer this one. I'll take
Okay.
it. So for me, I actually said two things because I couldn't decide. So number one being the scratch and stiff stickers. So you remember like the circle stickers, and you could like scratch them, like the teachers like
Uh-huh.
would put them on our papers.
Yeah.
So I definitely remember those. Like I was obsessed, and I love the fact that like Cincy has scratch and sniff stickers. But it definitely reminds me of like childhood and those like sets of stickers, or more importantly, when the teacher would let me pick out which sticker I wanted on my paper. The
Yes.
other scent that came back to me was like the smell of an eraser. So like I remember I had like the mechanical pen that had like the erasers at the top that you could like take one out and then feed it
Uh-huh.
through. And
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah, so I remember I would keep the pencil so close to like my nose, and so I can actually remember now to this day like what an eraser smells like.
That's funny. Mine were now that you say that, I definitely do remember those. I think my top one was probably sweet pea
Ooh, yeah,
because like that. This is also around the time like the wallflowers from going back to Bath and Body Works.
Bath and
About
Body,
the time
yeah.
the
Mhm.
wallflowers came out.
Yep.
And that was my mom's favorite. And it was in like every outlet in the entire house. So I definitely remember walking in after school and Sweet Pea being the first fragrance that would hit me when I walked
I
to my
can,
room.
you saying Sweet Pea, I can smell it. Like it was like it's in my room right now. I can smell it
Yeah.
now. I love that. Very cool. Isn't that weird too? How like when someone can actually describe or say a fragrance, and then instantaneously, it's like our brain takes us there without us actually like physically smelling that.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think
I
it's
don't
really
know
cool.
if, did you grow up in Texas or did you come from, you did grow up
Yep.
in Texas? So
Yep.
did you ever know of the store that they had back in the day called Garden Ridge?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
So there is a bar that comes out in the fall, and I cannot think of the name at the moment. I don't know. But every time I smell that fragrance, I'm like, this is me and my grandmother walking through Garden Ridge at Christmas time, buying all this unnecessary things that we don't need, but we
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
And every time I smell that bar, like that is exactly what I think. And then leaves and lavender that we had, well, I think we still have it, don't we?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
That reminds me of a fragrance that we gave to my grandma on her 70th birthday.
I
And
love
I was
that.
pregnant with my middle son, and I smelled that fragrance. Again, it was wallflowers, but it was like
Yep.
a whole set, like wallflowers and lotions and hand soaps and like all the things. And I was like, she has to have this because she's gonna love it.
That's cool.
And it smelled, I'm talking to the T, like leaves and lavender. So I
That's
had to put
awesome.
that one in my club.
Yes, leaves and lavender like reminded me of too, like walking into like a craft store, like what it would
Hmm.
smell like. And I couldn't pinpoint if it was like either like Pure One or if it was like what's the other one that I was thinking of? Maybe like Hobby Lobby, but it would be like a store that they would usually have like their potpourri and like floral
Yeah,
department and but that's definitely what it reminded me of for sure.
I
It's like
think
some sort of like craft store.
holiday market to
That
me
too.
is Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, I
Like Hobby
agree.
Lobby at
Yeah,
Christmas time. When
yeah,
I
that's
first
true.
smelled holiday market, I was like, nothing else is warming in my house for the whole month of December.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny that you say that because I think there was at least like 3 or 4 fragrances that came out that were new ones that actually reminded me of different craft type stores. And
But
I remember,
nostalgic craft type, right? Like not crafty
yes,
things, because it's different, isn't it? Don't
yeah,
you think?
yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah. So it
yeah,
did. Felt like a happy kid on the
yeah,
inside with those fragrances. And again,
yeah.
that's one
I
of the
agree.
things that I love so much about Scentsy and the fragrances. When you do find that one thing and someone's like, this smells like my grandmother's house, or
Yeah,
this smells like my mom, or something like that. And then they
yeah,
have to have it because it gives them that happiness.
yeah.
Like that's an unexplainable feeling.
Well, that's actually it's funny that you say that because that's actually what I have that I keep here in front of me on my desk. I think I had it like 2 years ago, but I don't have it in my club anymore because I don't want to warm it. But I ended up keeping the last 4 cubes of Simply Rose because Simply
Uh-huh.
Rose actually smells like my late grandmother. Smells like
Aw.
our house. And so, and
See,
it's
and when
funny
I
because I
smell the what was the one from a couple of Februarys ago? Rose, something rose. Rose,
uh
not rose water,
oh,
rose
was
vanilla,
it a yellow
strawberry
bar?
rose.
Strawberry Rose. Yes, I do
Is
remember
that what it
that
was
one.
called?
Uh-huh, yeah, there was one that was called Strawberry Rose.
So my grandmother was put into a nursing home for just a short amount of time. She had fell and hurt her hip and busted her head, and she had to go stay there for physical therapy.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she requested is, can I please have my warmer? The
Oh,
fragrance makes me feel like I'm at home.
yeah.
And that was her go-to fragrance while she was in the nursing home was the strawberry rose. So it's a happy and a sad feeling when I smell it because it reminds me of
Mm.
her, but it also reminds me of the nursing home.
Nursing home, yeah, for
Um,
sure. Yep.
so and she's passed as well a few years ago. So I definitely get it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those that like I can't really bring myself to warm it anymore, but every now and then because I actually now that I'm when I'm in my office, I actually have a photo of her like right in front of me on the wall. And so it's really nice like whenever I just need that little like hug of comfort or if like I'm thinking of her, it's really nice when I can actually just real quick for a second like lean over, grab the bar, sniff it real quick and then like have a moment and then I'll put it down and then kind of like get back to, whatever it is that I'm doing.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think that that's something that people, I think it even happens without them realizing, because have you ever been somewhere away from your fragrance and you're really needing your grandma, your mom, your dad, whoever, and like there for a split second, you think you smell them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So I think that that happens without someone, because you try to explain how important fragrance is, and they're like, it's a
Yeah.
candle, it's a whatever, and
Yep.
and to us, we're like, well, no, it's not just that.
No, it's not. It's so much more than that. Well, and what's interesting with Simply Rose is like I remember going through because I was a part of the Bring Back My Bar collection back then, and I remember going through the full set. And my husband and I were smelling like bar after bar, and I pulled that one up, and I wasn't even thinking about it. And like I opened the bar, smelled it, and I was like, "Whoa!" And then like, and I couldn't pinpoint it like right in that moment, but it bothered me to a point where I kept thinking about it over the next couple of days, and I was like, "Dang." What does this smell like? I was like, because it just made it felt so familiar to me. And I remember like giving it a day or two, and it was really funny because at that time I still had the photo of my grandma and I from graduation, hanging out or sitting. It's a magnet, so it's like in my office. And so I remember like kind of like looking, gazing over my office, and then my eye caught that photo, and I was like, whoa. That I was like, it smelled just like what it would smell like walking because she had this set of like potpourri mix that she would keep in her bowl in her house, and that's exactly like what that smells like. And
Was it before or after they started covering it with the little crocheted tops and ribbon?
it was definitely before.
I love that. I always wonder, like, what happened to them to be like, we
Someone
need to
probably
put a
ate
top on this.
it. Somehow it was like, ooh,
A
snack
kid or
mix.
a dog.
Because it does remind me honestly of like a snack like the Gardetto snack mix.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I guarantee you that's what happened. Someone ate it. There was probably some kind of lawsuit.
Probably something crazy. Oh man, that's so funny.
Oh my goodness. All right, so let's see. We got two more. So if your life, let's see, I'm gonna switch. There we go. If your life was turned into a cartoon, like Rugrats or maybe Doug, for example, which one would you be featured in? And you don't have to really give a why necessarily, unless you want to. But just what cartoon would you want to be featured in?
So I really like this question too, again, because the whole nostalgia and like,
Yes,
when's the
this
last time I thought
definitely.
about Doug or Hey Arnold, right?
Yes, it was like a warm,
So,
gooey feeling, basically.
right, because I was like, okay, but so there's Hey Monsters, which
Mhm.
maybe, but no.
Yeah, I know. I
um,
actually thought about that one too. I was like, "Oh, cool. There could be better."
yeah. So I think if I was in a 90s cartoon, it would be somewhere between Doug and Hey Arnold meets Daria.
Oh, Daria. Uh-huh. Yep. That's cool. I love that.
So I grew up in Rockwall, which is a pretty fancy little area with kids that had lots of money, and
Yeah.
and I did not.
Yeah.
Um, However, my grandmother, who bought a lot of my clothes and stuff, she made sure that I always had like mud everything, because that was the
But yeah.
brand back then.
Yeah.
And, everything that those girls had that were going to school in the super nice, like Kohl's and J.C. Penney's, because that was the thing back in the day.
Yeah,
Like I
definitely.
had that too,
Yep.
you know.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
we may have been secretly living, not secretly, but we may have been like living on the other side of town in a
Yeah.
trailer.
Yeah.
But my grandma was not going to let anybody think or view differently of me going to school with those kiddos. So though I felt different on the inside,
Hmm.
it was, and I think that's where my Daria comes in.
Cool.
I
Yeah.
was still kind of social and interactive, like my Doug and my Hey Arnold.
I love that. I more importantly like the fact that a lot of the shows that we grew up around are actually now back on TV, because
Yes.
every now and then when I need to mix it up, I have been going back and watching some of those shows.
Same, I do too. And there's even been like the other night, my husband and I were in bed, and it was, I don't know, when you have all of these streaming services and it's all of these shows, and my brain's like, no, I don't want to watch that. And it's a million,
Yeah,
like, why? Why don't
yeah,
you have a million
yeah,
options?
yeah. We have
So
way
I
too
came
many
across
options.
Ren and Stimpy one night. Do you remember that one?
Yes, I love that.
So I turned it on and I was like, this was on Nickelodeon. Why on earth were we allowed to watch this? Like,
Oh,
there's
I
certain
know.
parts
Some
that
of
I'm
them.
feeling kind of cringy, and I'm 36 years old.
Yes, there's some shows. What was it? There was something I was watching the other, like a month or so back, and it was the same thing for me, where it was like, why was I allowed to watch this? Like, I was like, there's so much innuendo, and I'm like, my naive little self back then, like, had no clue what they were
Not a
talking
clue.
about.
Yep.
One of the things I actually started doing, and I want to start making it more of a habit, is like on Saturdays now, like I did it this like a week ago, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start doing this more often. Is literally pouring a bowl of cereal and watching the shows like we would like Saturday cartoons.
Yeah,
Like that's what I did like
absolutely.
a week or two back. Is I fixed some cereal for breakfast and I sat in the recliner and then I legit pulled up like some of the shows that we grew up with.
Sometimes you need that. Like,
Yeah, like, I
you
was
don't
like, I'm
always
not.
have to be a responsible adult. Like, absolutely,
Yep.
when you need to, you need to. But when
Well, it's
it's a
like
Saturday morning and you're home and you don't have anything to do, why can't you watch Looney Tunes and eat Fruit Loops? Like,
exactly, yeah, I would much rather watch that any day than some of the crazy shows we've got going on nowadays.
oh, there's plenty of shows that, I mean, my kids are older-ish now, most of them, but like we didn't do SpongeBob.
Yeah, same, yeah, yeah,
It was too like hyper repetitive, and I was like, you guys have enough trouble with that now. I liked it.
yeah,
I was
uh-huh.
a very young mother, but I was like, I don't know, they don't need any help in that area.
No, you're like, "Nah, let's not do that."
Mhm.
I actually, I right out the gate originally was going to choose something along those lines, like cartoons, because that was just what came naturally as my answer. But I was like, you know what? There's actually one show that, because we have Disney Channel now, and so or Disney Plus, whatever, and so I was like, I kind of want to find something that I've started watching recently that I surprised myself that even as a grown 36-year-old adult like that I want to watch, but it brought back nostalgia. Was Do you remember Bear in the Big Blue House?
Yeah, I do.
So that is actually back on Disney Plus.
Oh my
and,
gosh.
and I started crying, no lie. Like when I started playing it, because I love the theme song for one. And I didn't even like at first I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this or not. And my husband had fallen asleep on the couch and he was basically asleep for the night. He was out. And so I was like, you know what? Why not? And so like I hit play and I got all up in my feels. Like I was like, it was like a warm hug. And I told him he was like, what did you watch last night? I said, I watched about 3 episodes of that show. But if I would say if I could be in any cartoon or show, I definitely would want to be because I couldn't decide. It was either between Bear in the Big Blue House or did you remember Gullah Gullah Island?
I was just about to say that. Yes, I
That would have
do.
probably been the second one. Yep, I would have said that one
Yeah,
too. Yep.
I loved that show. Yes, I remember.
Yeah, so I
As
couldn't
soon
decide
as you
between the
like
two.
ADHD, I was trying to fight it, but also remember, like,
Yeah.
don't interrupt, but tell her when she's done. I was like, Gulligle Island. That would have been a good one.
Yes, and like just the songs in itself, like even if I didn't watch the shows, like just like Bear in the Blue Blue House, like singing those songs or like the Gola Gola Island, like just singing those songs, like it was so bizarre, like singing them as an adult and how healing it was almost to like my inner child.
Yeah.
But yeah, hands down, I would definitely want to like have like a guest role. in Bear in the Blue House. Like,
Yeah,
I,
for sure.
I really liked his house. It was kind of like a little bit of a tree house outside, and I loved the fact of like how big the moon was when he went out on the porch.
Absolutely. And you got to get so close and talk to the moon. That was really cool.
Yes, yes, it was pretty
I think
dope.
a
Like,
part that I would have trouble separating is, am I Daria when she is her own show Daria, or am I Daria
ooh,
when she was in class with Beavis and Butthead?
yes,
I
I
don't
actually I
know.
was thinking about that. Yeah, that was when you said Daria. I was like, man, that really brings me back too. That's cool.
My husband and we still watch Beavis and Butthead
Oh yeah,
like we're
I love Beavis
children.
and Butthead.
And it's so different now. It's not like it was when we were kids where
Oh
there was
no.
music videos and they were making fun of them. Now it's like, I don't know. They're not too controversial, but sometimes it's like, okay.
Yeah, I definitely would have to go back and watch like the older episodes of
Oh
Beavis
yeah.
and Butthead. Yeah, because I mean, I remember like when they would incorporate it in like with MTV all the time.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
All
now
right.
it's almost like um what is that show with Rob Dyrdek?
Oh, ridiculousness.
Yes, it's almost like that, but with Beavis and Butthead. So
That's
it
crazy.
still shows not really music videos,
Yeah,
definitely not old music videos, but
yeah.
it's almost like you're watching reels with
Yeah,
them as
yeah, that makes
hosts.
sense. Yeah, I tried to dabble. I think it was like 2 years back or so. I tried to dabble a little bit into watching MTV, and I had temporarily downloaded it for. So it had to be for some specific show. But I remember going into it, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't. It's not hitting the same."
Yeah. Yeah,
Especially when
you
it's
gotta
an
start way
app.
back in the beginning, do the old ones.
Yeah, like cable when it was like just cable TV, that hit very different. And like you said, when it was like TRL countdown, all those things, like that's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't the same at all. Like it didn't hit like I thought it was when I downloaded it and started watching it again.
Hmm.
Yep. I was like, yeah, no thank you. All right, last and final question, and then I'll ask the question, and then you can take the answer first.
Okay.
As you step into, and I figured actually it was pretty funny. On a side note, this last question almost kind of like brought this podcast to an end. So I thought that was really cool. So as you
Yeah.
step into a new month, what is one area of your faith that you feel is evolving and why? Or even if you don't want to say like your faith, like it could be like, what is one area in your life, going into this 2025, this new year, this new season for yourself that's evolving and why?
So I would say, as far as a religious spiritual journey, like you said earlier, um, being more, can't find my words, paying attention to more of what I'm doing. Is
Mhm.
this good for my spiritual faith? Is it good for my family? Is it good for my job? Is it good for me?
That's good.
Um, and then as far as life goes, I would say I am learning so much about myself, um, that I am noticing things now about me that I'm working on that before I thought were just, that's just how I am. People,
Yeah.
that's what they like. That's just the way I am. Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe you should work on that somehow. And that's what I'm trying to do, is to realize that those areas that I am struggling with, on the inside, I am trying to dig deep into to make me a better person, a better mom, a better wife, a better employee, just a better human all the way around.
Hmm.
And then as far as for Cincy, um, since coming back from boot camp, like I have been on it, even
Good.
through those burnout times where I just feel like I can't do it or I don't want to do it. I've learned to turn my Facebook page to professional mode. So when I have
Mhm.
to get up at 5:30 and I'm at work from 6:30 to 4, and then I'm still not home till after 5, like I don't have time to think about what I want to post.
Yeah.
So if I can do it before I go to bed at night, or if I can do
Mhm.
it through the weekend, and I'm posting for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because that's my work schedule, then it continues on my algorithm. It continues on people seeing my things. It continues on keeping that connection with my friends and my supporters and my customers. I'm also excited about, I'm going to try to do a lot more parties. I've always dreaded parties. I've always hated the word party. Still don't care for the word party. Honestly, it gives me a little bit of anxiety, and I think that it does for other people as well. And that's kind of why I've tried to steer clear from the word party and maybe say scent event or, just try to come up with something else besides the word party. But getting others to interact with me in my business, whether it be online or in person or however, I want to take that on and make sure that I'm working with all of the people.
Yeah.
Being in my team, being customers, being supporters, being friends, whoever it may be. We also have a place here in town. It's a barbecue place, barbecue restaurant, and they do vendor events once a month. So every chance that I get, I want to make sure that I'm up there. People are seeing my face. They're getting my business cards. They're grabbing a sample. My goal is just to get me out there as much as I can mentally handle.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely understand that. That makes sense. That's good. I love that. I love that, like, you well-rounded the answer out to where it's like not only like how you answered it like in your personal life, but then also like pertaining to work as well.
Yeah, I've really tried to be more acknowledgeable for myself. Like that was one thing. And I even started last year, but it's been a very slow process of realizing your brain is different than their brains. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It doesn't mean that you're weird or you're dumb or you don't know or you're special or, anything like that. You just have a different way of processing and thinking. And that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I feel like too that's something that I've also learned to work on and carry on, like when it comes to like my team, and and those that I maybe not even on my team, but that like I communicate with, that is also in Cincy, with Cincy Land, and and knowing that, like you said, it's like the way that I process things and the way that I'm gonna react to things and the way that I work my businesses and react are gonna be so different from one another. So it's like reminding myself that not only for myself, but then also for those that I'm in communication with as well. So, it's so then that way it's like I'm more open-minded, instead of just me, because I feel like a lot of us have like this inner narrative that we give ourselves whenever something isn't this. Because I tend to have like I don't know if you can relate to this or not, but like I tend to have like this way of like kind of narrating and playing out things ahead of time, the way it's going to go before it even happens.
Absolutely.
So it's like even before I act on something, so then it's like, well, I don't know, I'll go ahead and do it. I'll go ahead and send this text. I'll go ahead and have this conversation, but I already know how it's going to go, and I've already like played it out in my mind. And then I get overworked and upset or mad or all the things. But leaning in and focusing more on that, there's nothing like I'm doing at the end of the day, I'm doing my job. At the end of the day, like it's something that I can check off and not as focused as much on maybe perhaps my expectations of the way that something was going to go, but just the idea that like I'm doing, either what's expected of me or what I'm wanting to do, and then not really having any kind of end result, not focusing on that as much, but just the fact that I'm just actually like planting the seeds and I'm doing it.
That's a good idea too, because I think that also comes a lot of my problem is before I even send the text, I'm worried about what they're going to say back.
For sure. Yeah.
So I've also learned to schedule text messages on my phone because if I'm like, oh, I need to follow up with so and so, but like today I'm super anxious and in my head I'm like, she's going to be pissed if you text her one more time, even though maybe I haven't texted her in like, I don't know, a couple months. In my head, I am bothering her. So I will go in, I'll write my message out, I'll schedule it, I'll put my phone down and I'll forget. And then I get a message later and I'm like, what? I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, because I've tried to get to where I do the same thing. Like, let's just say maybe it's like, okay, I've already spoken to this one person team member or customer like today, but I really need to like tell them this other thing. And that's what I'll do is like I'll schedule it out for like the next day or the next morning, and then I'll type it out, I'll do what I gotta do, I'll schedule it. And then, like you said, I bless and release it. Like I've walked away. I don't need because what happens is that I feel like if I hold my phone in my hand and I'm waiting for the response, I get anxious. I'm getting worked up. I'm getting upset that they're not answering me as quickly as I want them to answer me. And it's hilarious because I feel like with Spicy Brain, it's like seconds feel like hours,
Oh
and then
yeah.
it's excruciating waiting for that response. And then
And
it's
you're like,
dragging.
they're not responding to me because I made them mad.
Yes,
I
and it's that
aggravated
inner
them or
monologue.
something.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's that inner monologue that we tell ourselves, like, "Oh, I failed," "Oh, I messed up," "Oh, God," like you said, "Oh, they're gonna think I'm such a, bothersome person
Hmm.
because I've already messaged them before." But it's like, for me, it's like like you said, put the phone down, move on to what's next, and like even if it takes me to like write down or have it on my phone, like send this message out to like these people, and then like to help my brain move on and have some kind of closure, I'll like mark it out. Or if
Yes.
it's on my phone, I go to notes where it's like on my Samsung phone, like I can do it, or notes where it's like a check. So then I'll be like,
Hmm.
okay, I did it, And so then that way it's like closure. I'm done. I did what I need. It wasn't like, hey, text Tina and then wait for the response. It's like text
Right.
Tina. And then at that
And
point, I'm
move
like,
on.
okay, what do I have to do that's next after that?
Yeah.
Yep. I
And I
love
will
that.
say that lists help me. If
Yeah.
I don't have a list, I'm probably not going to do anything. I'll
Same.
do
Yeah.
I'll do what I think is important in that moment, but then I
Hmm.
forget like the laundry or the
Yeah.
dishes
We were just talking
or
about that earlier. Yeah.
yeah, like holy moly, I've got to work tomorrow and I have nothing ready to go. And I know
Yep.
that I should have, but I've been doing this instead.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
making that list and that's the same with the plan. I have to have a daily plan.
Yeah.
Daily. Or I could stare at the wall. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I'll do that too. I'll disassociate, and I'll like, even though I
Mhm.
could have like 10 things I need to do, like I'll just stare off into space and then just check out. And I'm just like, well, and that definitely also has a lot to do with like having a neurotype brain, because what happens is that there's so many things that we need to do and take on, but then we're like, we don't know where to start or like where to go first. And then we're
Mhm.
overthinking like the process and the steps to that. So then overthinking is basically puts us into fight or flight mode, and then our body freezes, and then that's when we disassociate, and then we're already exhausted, and then it feels like we've actually already done those 10 things, even though we
Yeah.
haven't even gotten off the chair. Like mentally we've already done those 10 things, and you're just like, and I'm normally like, okay, well, that's that, and we'll just start again tomorrow.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like I already did it, I made the list, that took more than enough.
And it gave me the satisfaction that I needed. So I'm done.
Yes, I got that dopamine fix. Everything else can wait till tomorrow. Like I'm done.
Exactly.
I'm satisfied for the day. Oh man. All right, so I'll go ahead and go and answer mine. Put my answer in. So as a reminder to everyone that's watching this later on, the question was, as I step into the new month, what is one area of my faith that I feel that is evolving and why? So this year specifically, and I actually underlined it because I was like, this definitely is being more sure of myself. So I feel like that this like last year or two was really getting me geared up and pushed into this direction of whether personal or professional, of the things that are no longer serving me. What are things that are not like bringing me joy anymore? What are the things that I don't want in my community, in my circle? And it's been a process of at least specifically thinking back in the last 2 years of elimination and narrowing things down, whether it was like people, whether it was things, whatever the case may be. But it was just like different areas across the map over the last 2 years. But now more so being very black and white as far as being solid and a solid foundation of being more sure of myself, of not doubting, those certain areas of my life, but then trusting the fact that I know now that more than ever that God's got me, and that joy comes from accepting myself and others for what is. So not having like high expectations or holding people up to like certain standards or certain pedestals. It's a matter of like just meeting them like exactly where they're at. Whether that's my husband in our marriage, whether that's my friendships, whether that's the people that or on my team, or those that I collaborate in the Cincy world, just accepting them for like what it is, you know, at face value. You know, nothing less, nothing more.
I love that.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Alrighty, well, that about sums it up. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with Amber and I. We had an incredible time. I know I had a lot of fun on this podcast, definitely taking a walk through nostalgia, memory lane. As always, thank y'all so much for hanging out with me this week. Can't wait to see y'all and hang out this next week. And as always, don't forget to unscramble your faith and find clarity in the chaos. Thanks again, Amber, for hanging out with me. I hope
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We'll talk soon, and I hope you have an incredible week. And everyone else that's watching and listening, I hope you'll have an incredible week as well.
You too. Thank you, girl.
Bye. You're welcome.